Right now, as you watch this, our galaxy holds at least 20 billion planets the size of Earth, sitting in the warm, life-friendly zone around their stars. The universe has had over 13 billion years to fill itself with life. By every number we can calculate, the sky should be crowded with civilizations. So here is the question that keeps scientists awake at night. If the cosmos should be teeming with life, then why is it so utterly, terrifyingly silent? We have listened for decades. We have scanned thousands of stars. And what have we heard back from the entire universe? Nothing. Not a whisper. This is the greatest unsolved mystery in all of science. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why some of the smartest people alive are genuinely afraid of the answer. There are only a handful of explanations for the silence, and every single one of them is more unsettling than the last. To see why, we first have to understand just how big this problem really is. This puzzle even has a name. Back in 1950, the physicist Enrico Fermi was talking about aliens over lunch when he suddenly fell quiet and asked a question that has haunted science ever since. Where is everybody? Just 4 words. If the universe is so vast, so old, and life should be so common, then where, in all that emptiness, is everyone? To feel the full weight of that question, look up at the night sky. You might see a few thousand stars, but our galaxy alone contains as many as 400 billion. And for most of human history, we had no idea if any of them had planets. Then, just a few decades ago, we started finding them. Thousands of them. Rocky worlds, ocean worlds, planets sitting in the perfect zone for liquid water, the one ingredient life seems to demand. Some of them, eerily similar to Earth. One nearby star turned out to have 7 Earth-sized planets, several of them possibly warm enough for oceans. And that's just one star, out of hundreds of billions. Take even the most cautious estimate, and you still end up with billions of potentially habitable planets in our galaxy. Billions of second chances for life to begin. Scientists even built a formula to estimate the odds, the famous Drake equation. Plug in almost any reasonable numbers, and it spits out the same answer. The galaxy should be home to thousands of civilizations, maybe millions. Now add time. Our galaxy is old. Stars and planets were forming for billions of years before our sun ever ignited, which means countless worlds had a head start on us. Civilizations could have risen a million, even a billion years before humans ever stood upright. And here is the part that truly breaks people's brains. A civilization does not need faster-than-light travel to conquer a galaxy. It just needs patience. Send out a single self-replicating probe. It travels to a nearby star, builds copies of itself from raw material, and sends those copies onward. Then they do the same. The numbers explode. Even crawling between the stars at speeds we could build today, that wave would spread across the entire galaxy in just a few million years. A few million years. Against the age of the galaxy, that is the blink of an eye. Any civilization with a head start should already be everywhere. The galaxy should have been settled 1,000 times over. And yet, when we point our instruments at the stars, we find nothing. No signals. No ships. No megastructures. No ruins. Nothing but silence. This is the paradox. Every logical step says the universe should be loud with life. Every observation says it's a graveyard. Scientists call it the Great Silence. So where is everybody? Something is wrong with our picture of the universe. And the first explanation suggests that something out there is stopping life before it ever reaches the stars. It's called the Great Filter. And it is the single most chilling idea in this entire mystery. Somewhere between a dead rock and a galaxy-spanning empire, there is a wall. A step so difficult that almost nothing gets past it. Some obstacle so brutal that it stops nearly every world before it can fill the sky with life. Think of life as a staircase. Dead chemistry. The first living cell. Complex life. Intelligence. Technology. And finally, the stars. The filter is one of those steps. Almost impossible to climb. The terrifying question is not whether the filter exists. It's where it sits. And the possibilities split into two, one of them comforting, the other a nightmare. Maybe the filter is behind us. Maybe the very first spark of life, dead matter becoming a living thing, is a near impossible fluke that almost never happens. Or maybe the leap from simple bacteria to complex cells was the wall. On Earth, that single step took nearly 2 billion years. It may be the hardest thing life ever did. Or maybe intelligence itself, the kind that builds telescopes and asks questions, is the rarest accident of all. Life ruled Earth for billions of years without it. If any of these steps is the filter, then we already passed it. We are the rare ones. The lucky survivors. The universe is quiet simply because almost nothing else made it this far. And that would be wonderful news. It would mean the hardest part is behind us, and the galaxy is ours for the taking. But there is another possibility. A far darker one. What if the filter is not behind us? What if it's ahead? What if every step so far was easy, and the real wall is still waiting in our future? What if 1,000 civilizations before us climbed exactly this high, invented exactly this kind of technology, and then hit a wall none of them survived? A war they couldn't stop. A weapon they couldn't uninvent. A technology that turned on its creators. A wall that stops every civilization at almost exactly the same stage. Our stage. And we already have candidates for that wall. Nuclear weapons we can't unbuild. An engineered plague. A runaway artificial intelligence. A climate we push too far. Any species that invents power like ours may face the same knife edge. The frightening pattern is that the very technology that lets a species reach the stars is also the technology that lets it destroy itself. And it only has to fail once. If that's true, then our silence is not a mystery. It's a warning. We are simply the next in a long line of civilizations about to go quiet. And here's the twist most people never see coming. It's the reason a discovery on Mars could be the worst news in human history. We are spending billions searching for alien life. But finding it might be a death sentence. Because if we find even simple microbes on Mars, it means life is common. It starts easily, on almost any decent world. That sounds like good news. It isn't. If life is common, and the galaxy is still this silent, then the filter cannot be behind us. Life passes the early steps all the time. The wall must be somewhere ahead. In our future. So the more life we find out there, the more likely it becomes that we are doomed to hit the same wall that silenced everyone else. But maybe the silence isn't a wall at all. Maybe it's a choice. Imagine the universe not as an empty desert, but as a dark forest at night. And every civilization is a hunter, moving silently between the trees. In this forest, you cannot know if another hunter is friendly or hostile. You cannot know how advanced they are, or what they'll become. And you cannot afford to guess wrong even once. The distances are so vast, and the time to cross them so long, that by the time you reach another world, they could have leapt 1,000 years ahead of you. A harmless neighbor could become an unstoppable threat. So there is only one safe strategy. Stay perfectly silent. Because the moment you reveal your location, you tell every hunter in the forest exactly where you live. And if even one of them decides you might one day be dangerous, the coldly logical move is to strike first, to destroy you quietly, before you ever grow strong enough to strike back. And you can't just send a message to sort it out. By the time your greeting crosses the light years, they could have changed beyond recognition. In the dark forest, trust is a luxury no one can afford. In a dark forest, silence is survival. Making noise is suicide. Maybe the universe is quiet not because it's empty, but because everyone smart enough to survive learned to shut up, which raises a deeply uncomfortable question about us. Because for over a century, humanity has been doing the exact opposite. We've been shouting into the dark. Radio, television, deliberate messages, aimed straight at nearby stars, saying, "Here we are. We have announced our exact location to the entire galaxy. And if the dark forest is real, That may have been the single most dangerous thing our species has ever done. Somewhere out there, a reply may already be racing toward us. In fact, in 1977, we did pick up one signal. Strong. Strange. Exactly where you'd expect a message. We called it the wow signal. And then, it was gone. We never heard it again. A glitch? An accident? Or a single word from the dark forest, spoken once and never repeated? We may never know. But before you lose sleep, there's a much gentler explanation. Maybe no one is hiding. Maybe there was never anyone there at all. We assume Earth is ordinary. Just one rocky planet among billions. But the more closely we study it, the more it looks like a wildly improbable accident. Start with our sun. It's stable, long-lived, and calm. But most stars in the galaxy are small, angry red dwarfs that blast their planets with deadly flares. A single one of those eruptions could strip away a planet's atmosphere and sterilize its surface. Around most stars, life may never even get a foothold. Then there's Jupiter, a giant shield sitting in the outer solar system. Its enormous gravity flings away comets and asteroids that would otherwise batter Earth again and again. And our moon is strangely, perfectly large. It steadies the tilt of our planet, holding our climate stable for billions of years, long enough for slow, fragile, complex life to evolve. Deep inside, a molten core spins up a magnetic field, an invisible shield that deflects radiation that would otherwise fry the surface. Few planets are lucky enough to have one. On the surface, plate tectonics recycle carbon and keep the climate balanced across the ages. Too much, and the world burns. Too little, and it freezes. The right star, the right distance, the right moon, the right shield, the right position, even inside the galaxy, away from the deadly radiation of the crowded core. Stack up all of these coincidences, and Earth stops looking like a common outcome and starts looking like a jackpot. A chain of accidents so specific it may almost never repeat. And here's a detail that stops biologists cold. Simple life appeared on Earth almost the instant it could. But the leap to complex cells, the kind that build plants and animals and people, seems to have happened exactly once in 4 billion years. So maybe simple microbes are everywhere. But complex, intelligent, technological life might require such a perfect run of luck that we truly are alone. Not forbidden, just impossibly rare. It's a lonely thought, but maybe it's wrong. Maybe they're out there right now, all around us. And the reason we can't hear them is far stranger than you'd expect. Think about how far we've come in just 400 years. From sailing ships to spacecraft. Now imagine a civilization not 400 years ahead of us, but a million years of progress. To us, they would be indistinguishable from gods. And a species like that might build things we can barely imagine. Scientists rank these civilizations on a scale. Type 1 masters its home planet. Type 2 harnesses its entire star. Type 3 commands a whole galaxy. We haven't even reached Type 1 yet. A Type 2 civilization might build a Dyson sphere, a structure wrapped around a whole star to capture every drop of its energy. We've searched the skies for their waste heat. So far, we've found nothing. But maybe that's the point. When you walk past an anthill, you don't stop to say hello. To a truly advanced species, we might simply be too primitive to be worth a single word. Or maybe they know exactly where we are, and they're deliberately staying hidden. Watching, letting us grow up on our own, like animals in a protected wilderness. A cosmic zoo, and we're the exhibit. Or maybe advanced life doesn't reach outward at all. Maybe it turns inward, shrinking into vast digital worlds, leaving the physical galaxy quiet while entire civilizations live inside their own machines. Or maybe they are talking, constantly, and we're just not built to hear it. We've been listening for radio, one narrow kind of signal, for a heartbeat of cosmic time. Searching for alien signals so far has been like scooping one glass of water from the ocean, finding no fish in it, and declaring the seas empty. And then there's the cruelest possibility of all. Not distance. Time. Civilizations might rise and fall like sparks, each burning for just a few thousand years. In a universe billions of years old, 1,000 civilizations could have come and gone before humans ever looked up. We might be surrounded by ruins and graveyards, calling out to the dead and hearing only echoes. A few years ago, something did drift through our solar system. Strange, fast, shaped unlike any comet we'd ever seen. It came from another star, and it left before we could get a proper look. Almost certainly, it was just an odd rock. Almost certainly. But it was a reminder that things really do cross between the stars, and that we are watching only a razor-thin sliver of a very long story. Unless we have the timing exactly backwards. What if we aren't late to the party at all? What if we are the very first ones here? The universe is still young. The stars will keep burning for trillions of years to come. On that timescale, 13 billion years is barely the opening moments. It's entirely possible that intelligence is hard and slow, and that we are among the very first minds ever to open our eyes and ask where everyone is. Someone has to be first. It might be us. And if that's true, then this quiet little planet is carrying something almost unimaginably precious. Possibly the only spark of consciousness that exists anywhere in the cosmos. Look back at everything we've considered. That we're alone. That we're hunted. That we're too primitive to notice. That we're simply too early. Every single answer points to the same uncomfortable truth. We matter far more than we ever realized. This thin shell of air, this one warm world, may be holding the rarest thing in existence. And it is unbelievably fragile. On this pale blue dot, everyone who ever lived, every empire, every love story, every idea, is riding on a single grain of light, in an ocean of silence. Every discovery, every song, every person you have ever loved, exists on this one fragile world, wrapped in silence. If we really are this rare, then protecting it may be the most important thing in the entire universe. So the next time you look up at that silent sky, remember, the silence is not empty. It is a question, and it is waiting to see if we survive long enough to answer it. Maybe one day we'll finally hear a voice out there in the dark. Or maybe we'll realize the responsibility was always ours, to become the very civilization the universe has been waiting for. If this made you feel small and strangely important at the same time, subscribe and stay with us. Because the universe still has far stranger secrets left to tell. Keep looking up.